All right, Professor Krugman, another one. This is another tweet that just came in. You ready for this? Asset inflation is good for the 1%. It's bad, however, for consumers and for the world who buy food and gas. What do you say about that?
Food and gas is not something that's being driven by Fed policy. Sorry, but Ben Bernanke doesn't have that much power. That's being driven by events in China, being driven by events in a large world economy.
He actually doesn't even look at it, right? He looks at core inflation.
Whoa, hang on, because you do have, gasoline, oil priced in dollars. So the more he prints, the more
really.
QE, the dollar goes down, and then the cost of oil goes up.
But the dollar hasn't gone down. That's the amazing thing. You actually look at the dollar versus the euro, the dollar versus the yen. It has not, right? I mean, it hasn't. In terms of the world's other major currencies, we have not had a big depreciation of the dollar. And in terms of this notion that printing money is only for the, history says it's not true. History says that a regime of moderate inflation is actually better for workers than what we've got right now. The notion that it's all for the rich, and actually, think about who is on which side here. Right? The Wall Street Journal editorial page is dead set against QE. Do you think that the Wall Street Journal, really has it in for the holders of assets? And do you think that I really want to support them? Come on, look at the politics here, and that'll give you a pretty good clue to where the economics really is.
Joining us from Santa Rosa, California, Charles Biederman. He's the CEO of Trim Tabs Investment Research. And from Stamford, Connecticut, Peter Schiff, president of Euro-Pacific Capital. Let me begin with Peter this morning. Peter, yesterday we had some data that showed home delinquency or home mortgage delinquencies were on the rise. I think that's the leading edge of problems for the consumer?
Well, the consumer is going to have a lot of problems. And I think, when you look at the savings situation, I mean, from a global perspective, what America is really doing is we're squandering the world's scarce savings on consumption. And the whole concept of savings involves underconsumption and self-sacrifice. The concept is that an individual earns money but doesn't spend it all, and the resources that he saves are freed up to be loaned to an entrepreneur who uses those resources for capital investment, which ultimately leads to greater production and rising consumption in the future and a higher standard of living. But it doesn't do any good for a Japanese citizen to save money and then give it to an American who wastes it on consumer goods. They could have done that themselves. Back in the 19th century, when America borrowed from the rest of the world, we borrowed to produce. We borrowed to build factories, to build infrastructure, which enabled us to export products back to the world, to pay the interest on our debts, and to repay the principal. But now all we can do to repay these debts is print money.
Charles